Good morning, students. Let me just check for my voice. Am I audible? Good morning, students. Good morning once again, students. Welcome to Unacademy. Good morning once again. I think I can make out my voice now. So, on that note, I will start with the session of today. So first of all, let me introduce to you a little bit. Today I'm going to start with the June current affairs. June, how it typically works. You've noticed this earlier. I have taken January, February, and May, three sessions for each of the months. Likewise, today as well, I'm starting with June, and there will be a total of three sessions for the month of June. Today is, of course, as you know, the first one. So, Unacademy is basically India's largest e-learning platform. Welcome all of you. This is a brief about myself. My name is Aritro Dasgupta. I'm an MBA in Forest Management from the Indian Institute of Forest Management, ranked the 8th best in the country in one of the NIRF studies in the management category. Got a decade's experience in teaching, training, strategy, consulting, and content writing. I'll speak about each of these maybe later on some other day. We could have classes on careers in this area. Uh, so I've got experience in India, in the UAE, and in the USA as well. I mean, basically, I've worked in the Middle East, in the and India. In USA, I've been published. My works have been. So last 5 years, I've formally been in this coaching segment, and some of the toppers for different exams such as CAT, CLAT, DUJAT, etc., have been my students. Right, so this is all you will get at the Unacademy platform. A couple of things here. First of all, you will be getting the daily live classes. Now, what are daily live classes? So every day you get my classes. I'm going to show you our channel, which is Let's Crack Management Exams. So here you will get classes. All the classes are recorded. You can watch them anytime. We keep engaging you guys with live tests and quizzes. So for instance, on the right hand side of the page, if you notice on the chat window, this is where I put out questions from time to time. You can also engage with me. So this, as I said, this is the live session going on. This is our channel, which is Let's Crack Management Exams. So these are the different sessions taken by the different educators. Some of them are, of course, my sessions as well. So things on general awareness, for instance, these are my session, the daily newspaper readings, as well as the previous monthly general awareness. I've taken some career-based sessions as well, like how to thrive in the gig economy, monthly current affairs of the previous months, like February. So lots of sessions by different educators, as you can notice. Right. So do subscribe to our channel and keep watching the sessions. You get unlimited access. The moment you are enrolled, you can go through unlimited number of sessions. We also have structured courses in the sense that our head office is in Bengaluru, from which is of course the IT capital of the country. From there itself, all our sessions are designed. And of course, we individual educators can also put in our remarks as well. Okay, these are some of our star educators. We have many more, but this is just a sample to show you. Please take a look. So of course, they are primarily from verbal, quants, or reasoning background. I will be taking your general awareness. That's where I have specialized for the last few years. These are the notifications you will be receiving for your live classes, just to show you how they work. So in case you wish to learn profit and loss, this is how you're gonna get. If you want to see analysis of previous year's exam papers, or cat 2019 cat exam quant part 1, so this is something by another educator. So this is how you'll get all the notifications. This is a list of some of our star educators. You This is meanwhile how you will be receiving the notifications for the batches. You may notice likewise we keep forming new batches almost every month depending upon the requirement. I told you about the schedule. You can learn anytime, anywhere. All you need is a mobile, a PC, or a tablet. So even if you're working late and you come home late, you can always plug in whenever you get time. Language is never a barrier for us, because our courses are available in 16 different languages. I, of course, primarily will be taking class in English, but I will also engage occasionally in Hindi as well. You can keep interacting with your educator to get your doubts cleared. So again, I'm pointing out to the right side of the live chat. Please feel free to put in your points here. I will be happy to answer whatever are your questions. There are live polls as well. This is especially applicable to the unacademy.com, where my classes will begin most likely from Monday. It can also be used on YouTube, as I showed you, but especially relevant it is for uh, the unacademy.com. You get detailed PDFs and learning material. So some of you may have attended my classes earlier on current affairs monthly sessions. So you would have noticed that I do spend a lot of time on this particular aspect. Right. So at the end of this class, you can download this session and keep reading as well. So you get detailed report and analysis. So because we have a lot of tests, and how far you are from the rest of the country can actually be seen in this way. It's easier when you have a slide number. That's why I inserted the slide number. I've told you already about live tests and quizzes. Please go through this slide. So my what shall I put it? My code is mentioned at the bottom, which is AD09. So please feel free to enroll with the classes with this code, and I'm sure you would have noticed that the moment you apply this code, you get an instant 10% off. So please read this once. Both the sides, they are basically the same. Right, I guess you've all gone through this. So one thing you would have noticed is that if you take up a 1 month course, the pricing appears low, but it's actually pretty high on a per month basis. The longer a program you take up, the more value for money it ends up for you. So our 2 years course, you get 58% off. If you go for 2 years, you get 75% off. I have already explained in my previous classes what are the advantages of taking up long-term courses. Right. So, and on that note, I am done with the introduction on Unacademy. I will now begin with the meat of my class, which is the June current affairs. So the format remains the same. A lot of things happened in June. So I have gone through a lot of content to put in this thing. So there are some miscellaneous GK that I have put under the headline of June current affairs. There's also some topics which are specifically under a category that I have put up as a category separately. Right. So we are starting with the June current affairs. The first important news is from Russia. Russia is quite a bit in the news in this month. So Russia has ordered a state of emergency and criticized a subsidiary of the metals giant Norilsk Nickel after a massive diesel spill into a Siberian river. The name of the river is Ambranaya, which is a river, as the name suggests, in Siberia. Are you guys aware what is Siberia? Siberia is a region in eastern Russia. It was it is not very heavily populated, but in the last 2 decades, it has emerged as a serious economic, sort of a very important area for them because of a presence of a lot of oil, crude oil that Russia has. Even India imports from Russia, the Siberian region. So this is the name of the company, Norilsk Nickel. They were handling diesel, and a lot of it split. So Russia has criticized the company, the metals giant, and also imposed a state of emergency. Now, who's the Russian environment minister? His name becomes important because obviously he's the one dealing with this situation. His name is Dmitry Kobilkin. Okay, now these are the two teams, Australia and New Zealand. I don't know if you're aware of women's football. The under 17 women's world cup was supposed to be held in India this year. It has now been postponed. I think I informed you about this earlier. But the senior women's world cup was last held in 2019, held in France. It was then won by USA. The next one, which is in 2023, the bids were open, and Australia and New Zealand have been handed the right to host this. Congratulations to these two countries there. These two countries will also be planning a bid for the men's football World Cup. The hosts are decided till 2026. 2022, Qatar is hosting. 2026, it is hosted jointly by three countries, USA, Canada, and Mexico. Primarily USA. The other two are hosting a handful of matches. 2030, the bids are still on. Rather, they haven't even started on a formal basis. England might bid for it because 2030, please understand, is a very important World Cup. It's exactly 100 years since the first ever football World Cup took place back in 1930. So England, being the founders of the sport, the inventors of the sport, they've hosted only one football World Cup and only one Euros. Although Euro 2020, many games were to be in England. So 2030, England might be one of the bidders. I think Australia and New Zealand could also put up a joint bid. China could be, because China has not hosted. They are really emerging in football. I also have a feeling that Argentina and Uruguay will put in a joint bid. That's primarily because it's 100 years exactly, as I told you. Uruguay hosted the first ever World Cup in only one city. Back then, there were only a dozen odd nations, not many matches. Now there will be 48 teams, about 80 matches. So Uruguay is a tiny country, can't host so many matches. So with Argentina, so I have a feeling Argentina and Uruguay could put up a joint bid for 2030. I also have a feeling that India will host a football World Cup in my lifetime in the next 20-30 years. Because of simple factor about economy. India is such a massive economy. So FIFA, the world governing body, will want one World Cup to be held in India in the near future. But for now, the Women's World Cup, congratulations to these two countries. Right, June current affairs now. Let's move ahead further. As I told you, there's a lot of news on Russia. So Russia is constructing its first strategic health bomber, which is capable of delivering nuclear weapons. So what is a stealth? Stealth is secretive. It is extremely difficult to trace. It has very less sound, and radars find it very difficult to track stealth bombers. Bomber, as the name suggests, is something which bombs. There are majorly two kinds of military aircraft. One is fighters, which engage in aerial combat. The other is bombers, which instead of engaging aerial combat with other planes, they actually drop bombs deep into enemy territory. These are capable of delivering nuclear weapons, and this is the name of the program. It's known as Pakda, which translates something in Russian, but exactly the translation is Perspective Aviation Complex for long range aviation. So long range aviation, I guess long range is something to do with D in Russian. The rest seems pretty much expandable. Okay, in India, that's the beauty of current affairs. We keep jumping from one topic to another with absolutely no relation between them. But that's the beauty. You do one question on Russian military, the next question is about internet in Kerala. That's how you get these questions as well. That is why we have it in the mixed format as well. Okay, so the first state in India to provide free internet to the poor is going to be Kerala. Which is not required now due to the coronavirus and the fact that so many children are missing out on schools. So especially among poor children, it is really affecting them badly. Their learning. It's also the fact that there are some who are opposing this as well. Lots of economists, they feel that digital empowerment is often the worst form of empowerment, because free internet means you keep watching YouTube videos, who knows, TikTok videos before the ban, and do Facebook or WhatsApp the whole day, which is not really that useful. Although there are lots of government apps to track weather and to study about the environment or economy. That is something a lot of people don't do. That's the sad part. So these are the bodies which are looking into this thing. This entire network will be called the KFON, which is Kerala Fiber Optic Network. Then there's a semi-government body called Kerala State IT Infrastructure Limited, or KSITL. They will be looking into the execution. And of course, the project has been granted by KSEB, or Kerala State Electricity Board. So KSEB is the one which has granted the project. KSITL will be implementing it. KFON is the name of the final project that will be in place. Right. Continuing further with some miscellaneous news. This is a really important piece of news. So I would ask you guys, please mark a star to this question. I will also tell you how the Kerala news can be important in your context. Right. So this is the first time ever that not the first time ever, but one of the first times that Apple and Google, which are actually rivals in the home country, tech giants in their own right, but they have actually come together to launch a product. It's an exposure notification, basically. So the idea is that how much exposure you've got to other people. What is the name of the app? It's called Swiss COVID, and this has been developed done by Apple and Google. They are the tech developers, but you always need a venue. So the venue has been the EPFL Institute, which is based in Lausanne. Lausanne is one of the biggest cities in Switzerland. Okay, moving on to the other side of the planet, to North America, a team from the Yale University in the USA, they have identified 29 new genetic variants linked to problem drinking. What is problem drinking? Problem drinking is, as the name suggests, it is not about casual drinking, but when you are drinking in excessive quantity, something which is going to hurt your body. So 29 new variants have been linked, tripling the number of known genetic risks associated with alcohol disorders. So casual drinking may be okay, social drinking may be okay, but excessive and anything which is addictive is a problem. We often say this, too much of everything is bad, and I think that plays out in this context as well. Right. We have seen recently the case in Punjab of how alcohol addiction has taken the lives of people with the illicit hooch tragedy. More than 100 people have died. And in Andhra Pradesh, more than a dozen people died because they drank sanitizers, which also have alcohol, but again, because of alcohol addiction, this took place. Now I'm going to do the first standalone topic of today. This is a report basically on hydropower, released in 2020. It said, now what exactly is hydropower? Hydropower is same as hydel power. So somebody can write down to me here anything which you are aware of, which you want to share on hydropower. In lay language, hydropower is nothing but electricity generated from water, typically by through the use of dams, and dams that the water falls on turbines, and turbines, they generate the electricity, the moving turbines. There are these power dams which are only for electricity generation. There are also the storage dams which are much bigger. They are meant for storage of water. So on that note, India, this is great news. India is now the fifth highest producer of hydropower in the world. We have overtaken Japan, which used to be number five in this. This report, this is important, which country. So again, these are the kind of reports which you can always quote in group discussion, in WAT, whenever we are discussing how India is performing. By the way, hydropower is comparatively environment friendly. Dams may not be, but power dams on their own, I mean, dams which store water, they have a lot of repercussions. We can discuss that some other day. But hydropower on its own, when there is electricity generated from water, this is actually a great source of electricity. Right, and also environmentally friendly. This report has been released by the by this organization, and this, the fact that India is now the fifth highest, this is something we have earned plaudits from the international community, especially from the environmental groups, such as we have the UN body which is for environment, UNEP. They have come up with a, celebrating this aspect. You are probably aware we have these COP meetings every year. COP, Conference of Parties, was supposed to be held this year in Glasgow, has now been postponed. We'll talk about that later. So the COP body, or the signatories of the Paris Agreement in 2015, which was one of the most important COP meetings, they have also said that this is really a positive thing. Which are the top four countries in this? Let's have a look. Not surprisingly, all these countries have access to a lot of fresh water. That is the first thing you need. You need a lot of rivers or lakes, freshwater lakes. So Canada, it's right on the north of the world. It has a lot of smaller lakes in the country. In fact, it borders USA, and especially there are five lakes. USA is number two, so no surprise. USA and Canada, the border they share, there are five great lakes there, which are popularly known as homes: Huron, Ontario, Michigan, Erie, and Superior. So those five, no doubt. Brazil is home to the Amazon River, the Orinoco River as well, which is one of its top tributaries, the world's largest tributary. Amazon is the world's largest river. So these are massive rivers. China has lots of big rivers, such as Yangtze Kiang, Huangho, also the river which flows into Southeast Asia, Mekong. These are three massive rivers, right? So, and of course, all these four, and India as well, one thing common between these five is they are five of the biggest countries in the world in terms of physical size. Canada is second, US and China, I think, the third or fourth, Brazil is fifth. Of course, India is seventh. Australia is sixth. Australia does not have so much water as the others are. Australia could be fifth as well. I'm a little confused between Australia and Brazil, which is bigger. But you got the point. Russia also has a lot of fresh water, but problem with Russia is a lot of the rivers, they thaw during the winter. They freeze up, so you don't have water available in its natural form. So it's much more difficult to get round the water hydropower from Russian rivers, such as the Volga, which freezes towards the mouth. Okay, now we want to discuss a project which is known as the APEMC. AP here stands for Andhra Pradesh. This entire project is in the state of Andhra Pradesh. So this state has launched India's first online waste exchange website. The website is by the name of APEMC. I'll share with you the full form. The move has been hailed by PETA. I am sure you've heard of PETA, which stands for People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals. They are amongst the main activist groups promoting a vegan lifestyle, as well as many other things, but vegan lifestyle especially is non-consumption of any animal products, and not just meat and eggs, but also not consuming milk, honey, eggs, and silk, not wearing silk clothes or woolen clothes, not using leather, honey, any of these things. Okay, this is the full form of APEMC, Environment. It's Environment Management Corporation. There is another board called APPCB, which is Andhra Pradesh Pollution Control Board. They are the ones who are primarily executing this as well. And this was actually launched on the World Environment Day. When is World Environment Day? June the 5th. Every year commemorated on this day. And every year there's also a theme this particular day. I believe last year it was something to do with air pollution. This year, this is the theme. Please take a look. Time for nature. So basically, wanting nature to recover its lost spaces. We saw this during the lockdowns, how lots of streets were deserted and places where there's a lot of human movement. Humans were missing, and that is which is why animals were spotted on those places for the first time in a long time. Some of those images may have been fake, as further studies have mentioned. All those feel good may not videos may not have been correct, but yes, there may have been quite a lot of it would have been correct and encouraging as well for us, right? Okay, let's move ahead to further miscellaneous news. Okay, so you've probably all heard about the Mudra loans. They have been around since the start of the first Modi government. It was one of the star schemes of the government. Was proved to be really successful. A lot of poorer people were able to take help of the Mudra loans. Now there's a new loan which has started called the Mudra Shishu loan, or rather a junior loan, announced for small businesses and cottage industries. There's news from China. This might sound a bit ironic because the general fear is that it is China which produces a lot of, shall we put it, unsafe meat products. But now it's the other way around. China has announced that it will put a ban on imports of pigs, wild boar, and related products from India, citing concerns regarding African swine fever. So bans could actually exist from both sides. This does sound a little ironic. Now, there's this report from literature. See how diverse the topics are on this slide. The first one is about grassroots level banking. The second is about international trade and health concerns. The third is on literature and an award one. So Kritika Pandey is the Indian writer. She has won a regional award for Asia in what is called the Commonwealth Short Story Prize. As the name suggests, this is a prize which is open for the Commonwealth members only from Asia, because she has won the Asian award. So it's for her short stories, and this is her work, which is Great Indian Tea and Snakes. Right, so another Indian making us proud with by winning international awards. Now I'm going to look at another scheme which has been launched recently, known as SWADES. This is the full form, guys. Please take a look, all of you, at the full form. So, does something strike a chord in your mind? Anything which you can probably guess what this scheme would be about? Looking into the full form, please write down to me here on YouTube, on the live chat window. Okay, so it's skilled workers arrival database for employment support. What exactly is it for? I think you're aware of the Vande Bharat mission. Are you aware of the Vande Bharat mission? So Vande Bharat is when lots of Indians have now returned home from working abroad due to the various lockdowns and the fear of the pandemic. The implementation agency for this scheme is the NSDC, or National Skill Development Council, part of the Ministry of Skill Development. There were plans to merge it with the MHRD, did not take place. So National Skill Development Council, skilling is different from formal education. You and I are doing formal education with books and letters. This is about manual labor, and you get skilling, basically vocational training. Some of you may be aware of this term, vocational training. That's what this is all about. It's an inter-ministry initiative among three ministries. Right, the skill development is one of them, and the Ministry of External Affairs is one, because obviously people were brought in, and also the Ministry of Civil Aviation, because planes were arranged for people to come in. That's why the three. So okay, now this is really important. Please have a look at the last point. To conduct a skill mapping exercise for the returning citizens under the Vande Bharat mission. Lots of people have returned home to India from abroad under the Vande Bharat mission, so they need jobs now. They could perhaps survive a few months on their savings, but eventually they will require employment. Employment has, as it is, suffered in our country, so this is going to be another challenge for the country. So for that you need a skill mapping. You understand exactly what skills they have and which area could they be used in, their expertise. So of course they have foreign experience, so they are amongst the perhaps the most talented in some ways to take it ahead. Okay, further on June current affairs. Okay, this is quite an important one, although often these renamings are not very important, but in this case it is because of the fact that Shyama Prasad Mukherjee is one of the most important political names in the country in the last couple of decades. So the Union Cabinet has actually approved the renaming of Kolkata Port as Shyama Prasad Mukherjee Port. Kolkata is one of the biggest ports in the country. It's actually a riverine port. It's not an ocean-based port, but it has a direct riverine link. Please understand the river is massive because this is towards the mouth of the Ganga River, technically Hooghly, which is a distributary of the Ganga. Distributaries are formed towards the end of the river when the river swells up so big that it keeps giving out smaller channels. So it's still massive, the river here is, and which is why large steamers can make it. Maybe perhaps not the largest of ships, but yes, the large steamers can travel on it. So the cabinet has approved the renaming of this port. This port has a direct link with Haldia. Haldia is a port in West Bengal, southern Bengal, and that of course has access to the Bay of Bengal. It's one of the 12 tier 1 ports of the country. So Kolkata and Haldia often spoken of together. Who was Mr. Shyama Prasad Mukherjee? He was the founder of the Bharatiya Jan Sangh, which was actually the predecessor of the Bharatiya Janata Party. Jan Sangh was founded sometime after independence, and of course, it was merged in 1977 with the Janata Party, because in 1977 there was a new party formed, a sort of a coalition bringing a number of non-Congress elements together. So that was in 1977. It was merged. 1980, when this coalition was broken, that's when a new party was created, which is the BJP, which of course has seen enormous growth and success over the last 4 decades. Okay, now moving on to coronavirus. So, what is a clade? A clade is a particular link in within that. The most dominant coronavirus clade in India is the A21. So, there are total 361 genomes analyzed, but out of them, the A21 clade is the most common within India. It is not as harmful as some of the other clades. So, even within viruses, there are different versions, right? So, this is one of those many versions. Continuing with the June current affairs. Okay, now something to do with South Africa. South Africa has partnered with NASA. NASA, you all know, North National Aeronautics and Space Administration. So South Africa has partnered to host a deep space ground station. What does that mean? It's a ground station which will support deep space operations. So human spaceflight operations will be. This is not a launch pad. A launch pad is different. Here it will provide support. There are n number of other tasks that are involved during space exploration. So human spaceflight, and this is specifically for human spaceflights, not for unmanned probes. So for missions right now, of course, to the moon and Mars, but eventually the plan is to go even beyond, if possible, if humans can go beyond that. South Africa thus becomes the fourth country to have such a deep space ground station after the USA, which was the first, Spain and Australia. And all these three, Spain and Australia, have also worked with the NASA. It's not something of their own. Similarly, South Africa, I mean, it's their own, but it is to support not their missions, but that of the NASA. Because it's believed that when it comes to space exploration, the whole planet should work as one, right? So where is this station? This station is located in as on the western cape of South Africa. The name of the town is Matthiasfontein. Some of you who are cricket fans might be aware of Bloemfontein, which is one of the major test match venues for South Africa. Whenever India travels to South Africa, one of the most picturesque cities. I love it when India plays there because of the the camera zoom and everything. Bloemfontein was a typical Dutch city. Dutch were the first people to migrate, among the major people to migrate from Europe, and so this Fontaine is a Dutch sort of suffix to several cities. Bloemfontein also hosted matches when South Africa hosted the 2010 Football World Cup. The most famous being the second round match between Germany and England. Some of you may remember the iconic match where Frank Lampard's disallowed goal. England was losing 2-1 at halftime. Then they scored a goal which was clearly a goal by all means, but the referee made a mistake and it was disallowed goal by Frank Lampard. So it remained 2-1. England went desperate for winning it in the second half, and Germany on the counter hit two more. Germany went on to win 4-1. They were majestic that game, but there are lots of ifs and buts. If England had scored and it was 2-all, England would have played a very different game. They would not have chased the game as desperately as they did in the second half and would not have left so much space at the back. So that was a very young, interesting German team. Lots of new players coming up. Some of them did go on to have great careers, like Mesut Ozil, Jerome Boateng, and Thomas Muller, Manuel Neuer. Many fell by the wayside, could not really do as much as was expected of them. Okay, this is another new scheme. I don't know what is the last comma for my mistake. Just change, just delete that. It's known as an Indradhanush mission. Indradhanush. The name Indradhanush stands for a rainbow, and as you know, rainbow is a broad spectrum comprising 7 different colors. So we often use this term in English as well, that it's a rainbow coalition, which includes everything, number of different parts. Indradhanush in Hindi or other Indian languages used in a similar vein. So this is a broad scheme. Not, for example, Swachh Bharat is about a specific thing of cleanliness. This is about vaccination, but of a large group, which is children and pregnant women. Children till the age of 5, that's the target, because that's the best time to give out. Ideally, the time for vaccination should be even younger, maybe 1 or 2 years old. But the understanding is that many children in India, in the remote parts of the country, would not have been vaccinated by now, which is why those above 2 years are also eligible till the age of 5. You try to do it till 2, but if not possible, till 5, after which it may not have that effect. And of course, for pregnant women, because obviously they would require. Right. Okay. Now, this is something really important I want to talk about. Has anybody heard about this Essential Commodities Act? Right. So, any idea, anything you can gauge by this terminology, Essential Commodities Act? So, as the name suggests, there is a group of items together categorized as essential. Okay, let me put it this way. So, this has been amended after several decades. These commodities, farmers need to sell at a lesser price than the usual market level. I mean, it works both ways. Farmers also get protection because it is covered by the ration board, by the uh, distribution, mass distribution. On the other hand, they also suffer because they can't sell it at the market price based on demand and supply. So some of the goods have been removed from there to ensure farmers receive better market price. And actually, it's a lot of items, and this can be a really important one. I would request all of you to read thoroughly on the Essential Commodities Act. Okay, so these are the commodities which have been removed: oil seeds, pulses, cereals, edible oils, onion, and potatoes. Right? That's a lot of important stuff. I mean, it includes basically all the essential items. They have been removed from this list. So this can be a little controversial. Will it lead to increase in prices for the consumers? This is something that you will need to study thoroughly. Right? Okay. Moving on completely to the other side, from grassroots level agriculture and economy to the world's highest paid celebrities. Any guesses who was the highest paid celebrity of 2000 of this last 2019-20 period? She is a woman. That is a guess I can give you. So please write down your comments who you think is the highest paid celebrity in the world. Also, write to me who is the Indian who's highest ranked on this list among the Indians. In fact, he's the only Indian in the top list. Whom am I talking about? Okay. So this is to give you the information on the highest paid celebrity. In fact, she is significantly above the rest of the pack. Kylie Jenner from the USA is rank one. Rank two is Kanye West, also from the USA. There was news of Kanye West running for the president's post in the USA. I don't think that's happening now. But anyway, he was interested. The highest ranked Indian is, again, no surprise, Akshay Kumar. In fact, he has been in this highest paid list for quite a while now. He, of course, had to struggle so hard in the 90s, not coming from a film background. He would do a lot of films at the start, and of course, eventually established himself as one of the top actors in the country, especially in comedy and in action. And of course, lately he's done a lot of really good nationalistic films like Baby I Remember. Love that movie. Uh, Also Padman, of course, and the Toilet. Amazing films. All of these. Okay, so India 100 2020 report. This is a very important list for you guys. So please mark a star on this. All management aspirants and those going for MBA, especially anybody going for MICA. In fact, going for marketing, MBA in marketing at any college, this is a really important list for you because this is being given by Brand Finance, which, like Forbes, perhaps not as much as Forbes, but yes, it's still a highly respected publication. So they have released this India 100 report for 2020 of the 100 best known brands here. So are they saying these 100 are the best brands in the country and they're the best companies? Is that so? No. This is about market perception. So they are not saying these brands are the best and you buy them, not at all. Rather, they are asking people which are the brands you trust the most. So which are the brands typically trusted the most? The ones which are there on legacy for a while, which you have used, which you found it useful. And of course, because these questions are asked to people of all generations, a lot of the older people typically stick by the older brands, which have been around, even have been around for a long time, and they're still really successful. So Taj has been ranked as number one. Perhaps no surprise, a Tata Group company is Tata has always had a lot of goodwill in the country about its name. I would say that you go through the entire top 10. No need to go for the entire 100, but try to remember all the top 10 brands because that will give you a good idea about which brands are well known. These are the others: Geo, HP, Maruti Suzuki. There's an extra U, so just forgive me for that. There's HDFC Bank, Indigo, Indian Oil, LIC, ACC, and Amul. Right? Okay. Right. I think all these brands are very well known to you. If there's any brand within this list which you're not aware of, ACC is a cement company. For all those uninitiated, this might be something which you know less about. I do keep checking out for my voice from time to time, and I'm pretty satisfied now. Being a booming voice, I started with a good voice. In between, for some reason, wasn't happy with the voice, but now it's going really good. Okay, moving on, continuing with further June current affairs. Some more miscellaneous content. Okay, so this woman I have spoken to you a lot about. She's actually India's richest self-made woman. Self-made as in somebody who did it on her own, who did not inherit wealth from somebody, from parents or father or husband, nothing like that. Richest self-made woman in India. She runs Biocon, which is a pharmaceutical giant, and she's actually been named as by EY. EY, Ernst and Young, one of the big four in the consulting, in the audit sector, along with KPMG, Deloitte, and PwC. So she has been awarded in a virtual summit because this they could not have a real one thanks to the lockdowns and the social distancing norms. So it's a virtual award ceremony which was conducted by the company, and she has been awarded World Entrepreneur of the Year 2020. This is really respectable because EY is such a massive company. She's actually the third Indian to get this award, but the first Indian woman to receive this. So kudos to her. This is indeed a massive achievement in this category. Right. Moving on, further business news. Tech Mahindra, a top Indian IT company, part of the Mahindra Group, as you are aware of. There's also Kotak Mahindra, which is a bank, and of course Mahindra. They are one of India's largest producers of commercial vehicles. Commercial vehicles different from passenger vehicles. The ones which we drive, our cars, are passenger vehicles. Commercial vehicles includes buses, trucks, tractors, auto rickshaws. These come under commercial vehicles. So, is the Indian company which signed the joint declaration. Now, this is really big because it's a massive international organization. They have signed up with the UN Global Compact, urging governments to align their COVID-19 recovery efforts with the latest climate science. So, Tech Mahindra is actually tracking the latest climate science because it is well known by now that COVID-19 has been caused largely because of the degradation of nature, the fact that we have destroyed nature to such a great extent. So that is where the company is urging everyone to work on. So whatever are the latest nature findings which are coming out, environmental findings, they are sort of aligning that with the all India information so that in India can actually work along with this. But please note, it's mentioned governments. So it's not about the Indian government alone. Includes the state governments in different states of India. Also includes other countries, right? So it's an online platform, so anybody can access the data which will be shared there. Continuing with some more miscellaneous content for the month. Hi Jaggu, good to see you here. Was expecting you actually. So I've actually discussed quite a few important agricultural stuff. You, I know, do have an interest in agricultural general awareness. So I have shared quite a bit. Okay, so June current affairs, let's continue. The RBI has created a new fund. It's known as the Payments Infrastructure Development Fund, or PIDF. This is to push digital payments across the country. Digital payments so much useful now because of the obvious reasons of online payments, because one of the ways in which the COVID-19 can spread is through currency notes. So currency notes are being largely discouraged in many places, but not very easy for a lot of rural people, poorer people without smartphones. That is why this new fund has been set up to encourage more POS transaction. POS is in point of sale, which is when so there are two kinds of digital transactions. One is when I'm sitting at home making a major payment. I'm making a payment of 60,000 for some LIC insurance which I hold. Now that is from home large amount. This is fairly common in the country, but it's very less because the number of people doing it is also comparatively less. But POS is when I'm visiting my neighborhood kirana store, the local grocery, and paying 100 rupees for buying bread and butter or something. Here mostly it is cash transaction. Now this is POS, point of sale, when I'm on the ground, and it's for small amounts, but small amounts into millions, billions every day, number of transactions creates a massive fund. So that is where the number of cases of COVID-19 could really multiply. That's why the RBI has started this. It's also good for clean transactions, not just for COVID-19, but generally to encourage, as the government has plans for cashless transfers. So this is typically for tier 3 to tier 6 towns. The tier 1 and tier 2 are, of course, fairly digital savvy, but it's in the smaller towns that we. Right. So now, what exactly are tier one towns, tier one cities? There is also some debate on this. A lot of people often mix up these terms. Tier one cities includes the 8 biggest cities in the country, which is Delhi, Mumbai, Kolkata, Chennai, Bengaluru, Hyderabad, Pune, and Ahmedabad. These 8 cities are considered tier one. Tier 2 includes, so these tier 1 cities have a population of 5 million or more, which is 50 lakh and above. But if I look at smaller towns, which is tier 2, typically population between 2 to 5 million or 20 to 50 lakhs. I'll give you an example of these cities: Jaipur, Bhopal, Indore, Chandigarh, Ludhiana. Then probably the likes of Coimbatore and Mysuru, Kochi, Nagpur. These are typically cities that follow Bhubaneswar, Raipur, Guwahati. I can keep on adding more and more, but I think you got my point. Cities such as Gurugram, Faridabad, or Thane, these are not included often. These are often not included separately because while their population might be tier 2 worthy, they are part of a larger ecosystem as part of bigger cities. The Gurugram and Faridabad, for instance, and Noida, right next to Delhi, so they are part of the bigger national capital region ecosystem. Howrah is next to Kolkata. Thane is near Mumbai. So we do not typically include these places. Right, so tier 3 and 6 is once even below, less than 2 million or less than 1 million population. And of course, this is also targeting the Northeast because Northeast is much more remote and thus there are many parts of the Northeast which do not have the adequate telecom towers which are needed for digital transactions. So this will encourage this. This fund should definitely work in the Northeast as well. Moving on from our country to something which is extremely international, Glasgow, I told you, was supposed to host the UNFCCC, which is United Nations framework for climate change, Framework Convention for Climate Change. They have this conference of parties every year. I told you earlier, last year was held in Madrid. 2015 was held in Paris, which was one of the most significant ones. This year supposed to be held in Scotland, which is in the UK, but the UK government has postponed it by a year at least because of the COVID-19 pandemic, which hopefully by November 2021 should subside, or there should be some sort of a antidote or vaccine available by then, right? So we are all hoping for the best. Yes, point of sale, that's correct, Jaggu. Thanks. Okay, so June current affairs, I'll continue. Jaggu, do ask me questions if there are any on these topics. Okay, so June current affairs, there's something called a Fuji Rock Festival. Have you guys heard about Mount Fuji? Has anybody heard about Mount Fuji? In fact, there's a famous camera brand, a general electronics brand now, not just into cameras, which is called Fuji, and that actually takes inspiration from this name. It is a volcanic mountain, but it is a dormant volcano. Has not erupted since a really long time. One of the highest peaks in Japan, majestic looking. So on the base of this dormant, fortunately, volcano, we have this. Festival every year on rock music. It's known as the Fuji Rock Festival, Japan's biggest annual music event. This will be cancelled for the first time ever due to the coronavirus pandemic. Right? It has been going on since 1998. So we have had 21 editions till date. Would have been the 22nd, but sadly could not be done this year. Right, we have another 10 odd slides remaining. Now moving on to the World Economic Forum. We discussed earlier how in January there was the meeting every year held in January in Davos, which is in Switzerland. But next year it will be slightly different. So typically what happens is lots of dignitaries from different countries, they converge in this one mountain city. It's this one-off massive event. But now the idea is that we need to reduce the number of people. Even if this summit is held, we are first of all assuming it will be held. We don't know how things will work the next couple of months, but assuming it will be held, leaders from across the globe. There will be some in person, but many will be also virtual. So it will be a blended program. Right now, it was all physically present, but now we'll have many dignitaries, top dignitaries, who will be, who will be working from their place. That's correct, Jaggu. Fuji is Japan's highest mountain. That's correct. Very good, Jaggu. Right. So this it's now known as the Great Reset. Great Reset is a term which even the IMF has used. This is how businesses will change post the coronavirus pandemic. How we have to change our way of working completely. So there is some news on one of the credit rating agencies. Before I speak on that, I want to discuss with you what exactly is a credit rating agency. So can somebody tell me, Jaggu, can you, since you are participating, can you tell me or somebody else what exactly is a credit rating agency? You tell me this and then I'll move forward to the rest. Any idea, Jaggu? Please write it to me and then I will take this ahead. Please do not Google, be original. Anyway, I can't see the answer coming as yet, so fair enough. I will put down the answer myself. I just checked one more time. So this is it. These are agencies that rate the credit worthiness of an individual, a company, or a country. So if me as an individual, I go to one of the credit rating agencies, they will look into my past payment history, as well as my, because past payment history shows my intention and also my present economic positions. There's one thing, my intention could be good, but if I don't have money and if I don't have a cycle of earning, then even if my intentions are right, I may not be able to pay the amount. Okay, no problem, Jaggu. If you don't have any idea, just listen to what I'm saying. That should be good enough. Right? So higher the rating, so just giving you a tip of the iceberg, it's actually much more complex. But if I am given an A rating, or whatever company I run, or some company, if they go to the a bank, they want a loan, the bank may refer you before giving you a big loan to a credit rating agency. So if I get an A rating, then the message to the bank from the agency is that please go ahead, give him a loan. If I get a B, it's like, yes, fair enough, he might just take a bit of time, but he'll definitely pay. C means he's unlikely to pay back. Even if he does pay back, it'll take a lot of time, and so try to avoid. D means a complete blacklisting. So India is typically somewhere in the B category. Even USA is typically in the B category. So typically in the A category, you have small developed countries, the kind of countries I told you, which tend to uh, top a lot of these international rankings. Small developed countries like Denmark, Sweden, Finland, uh, Norway, Switzerland, New Zealand, Austria. These are small countries but highly developed. In USA, there's also this culture of risk-taking businesses. A lot of entrepreneurs or budding entrepreneurs go through 3-4 businesses, they fail, and then they succeed. In USA, it is considered common practice because the country has always prided itself on having a very entrepreneur friendly. I mean, the idea in America, the message is that you could be a nobody, but you could rise to be the world's richest man. So that's why in USA it is encouraged that you could often not be able to repay loan, which is why USA's rating is typically not that high. Okay, you did not understand. Fair enough, Jaggu. I'll repeat again. So, okay, let me start from the beginning. I am somebody who wants a loan. ठीक है जग्गू, मुझे 5 करोड़ रुपए का लोन चाहिए. मैं बैंक के पास गया कि मुझे 5 करोड़ लोन दीजिए. My company ABC Limited needs 5 crore for the latest this thing. Bank says fair enough, but I need to get your history assessed. कि तुमने पहले पेमेंट किया है कि नहीं, पहले भी तुमने कहीं से लोन लिया होगा, या तुम्हारी अभी कमाई कितनी है. बैंक डज नॉट नो हाउ मच मनी आई एम अर्निंग, हाउ मच वेल्थ आई हैव, व्हाट प्रॉपर्टी आई हैव. सो दे refer me to a credit rating agency. I will share with you some of the names. शायद क्रिसिल का आपने नाम सुना होगा कभी ना कभी. So I will go to CRISIL or CIBIL or somebody. They will do a complete analysis कि what is my present income stream, कितने पैसे मैं कमा रहा हूँ महीने में, what property do I have, whether I have some agricultural land गिरवी रखने के लिए. They'll also look at my past loans. If I've taken any loans in the past, if my company has taken loans in the past, and how much time did it take for my company to return the money. So if they see that I have a good record, I am an honest person, मैं time पे पैसे वापस दे देता हूँ, and I earn good amount of money, so I can repay this amount of money, then they will give me a good rating. अगर मुझे A grade मिल जाए बैंक से, ठीक है, और एजेंसी से, उसका मतलब ये है कि ये मैसेज है बैंक को कि प्लीज इनको आप लोन दीजिए, ये आदमी आपको वापस दे देगा, या ये कंपनी जो है इट हैज अ गुड रिकॉर्ड ऑफ रीपेइंग. सो दिस कैन बी फॉर एन इंडिविजुअल लाइक मी, इट कैन बी फॉर अ कंपनी, इट कैन ऑल्सो बी फॉर अ कंट्री. सो कंट्रीज आर ऑल्सो असेस्ड. सो फॉर एग्जाम्पल इंडिया विल हैव अ सर्टन रेटिंग. अगर इंडिया को बी ग्रेड मिले या ए ग्रेड मिले, इंडिया को अगर ए मिले, मतलब this is a message to all investors: go invest in India. India is a wonderful country to invest in. You will get money worth your returns, and the country is doing well, and it's a safe place to invest. Agar B mile, it means if the country is stable, they are in a fairly good position, but it might take a bit of time. They'll be safe, you'll get your money, people are nice, but it will take a bit of time. C matlab try to avoid. मैं बिल्कुल आपको टिप ऑफ द आइसबर्ग में बता रहा हूँ. द एक्चुअल थिंग इज मच मोर कॉम्प्लेक्स. डी मतलब ब्लैकलिस्ट, प्लीज मत जाइए। ठीक है जग्गू, डज इट मेक अ बिट ऑफ सेंस? प्लीज टेल मी इफ यू हैव अंडरस्टूड नाउ। Maybe you have heard of these names. Please take a look at the names I'm writing down below. They are known as the big three, just like in audit. Okay, Jagu, thanks. I'm happy you understood it now. Great. If you have any other doubts, please ask me immediately. I'll be happy to, share. Okay, so just like in consultancy, we have a big three: McKinsey, Bain, and BCG. In audit, we have a big four. I had shared with you just now: EY, KPMG, PwC, and Deloitte. Similarly, in credit rating, we have a big three. One is, all three are American companies, just like the big four and the big three of those sectors. S&P is Standard and Poor, nothing to do with poor people. It's just the names of the founders. Moody's, and there's Fitch. Fitch is smaller than the other two, and Fitch does not have much of a presence in India. The first two have a lot of presence in India. There are also some agencies in Europe, etc., but these are the big ones. Okay, what are the major Indian credit rating agencies? Let's take a look. Okay, yeah. Moody, you must have heard they downgraded our ratings. I think in that context, I'm sure, Jaggu, you probably heard. Okay. Okay, first is CRISIL. Please take a look. I'm sure you may have heard of CRISIL as well. This used to be an Indian company fully, but now it has been acquired by S&P. It is now a subsidiary. I hope you understand what is a subsidiary. So I will take a business class someday, a business affairs, introduction to business affairs. I have it planned for sometime in August, most likely next week itself. So I'll discuss with you terms such as subsidiary, merger, acquisition, joint venture, how these terms are different, right? So CRISIL is a subsidiary of Standard and Poor. There's also a firm called ICRA. I'm sure you may have heard of this as well. नहीं सुना तो कोई बात नहीं है, बट हो सकता है सुना है. इसका पहले नाम हुआ करता था इन्वेस्टमेंट इंफॉर्मेशन एंड क्रेडिट रेटिंग एजेंसी ऑफ इंडिया लिमिटेड, बट अभी इसका कोई फुल फॉर्म नहीं है. अभी इट इज सिंपली नोन एज ICRA, ICRA. That's it. It's now ICRA Limited. This is a subsidiary of Moody's. CRISIL is now owned by S&P. This is owned by Moody's. A subsidiary is a firm which is operational in another country, but it is almost fully answerable to the mother company. So while ICRA works in India, it is sort of answerable to Moody's. So it depends whether you're a fully owned subsidiary or not a fully owned one. Okay, there's also Kopal Amba. There used to be a company called Kopal Partners, which was a pretty, not a very big company, but they grew very fast. They're actually headquartered where I'm staying in Gurugram, quite near where I'm sitting right now. Literally a stone's throw, but anyway, let's not get into that. Kopalamba also acquired by Moody's. This is not a subsidiary. Subsidiary is something which is run by them. In this case, because it is smaller, this has been completely acquired now by Moody's. And the fourth one is CIBIL. CIBIL, unlike the others, this is not directly related to any foreign firm. In fact, this is an independent Indian firm. As yet, it is Indian firm. This is the full form mentioned: Credit Information Bureau India Limited. Right. Today I will be having my newspaper session as well at 2:30 p.m. In the meanwhile, do let me know if there are any more doubts. Continuing with more miscellaneous content. So June current affairs. And this in fact relates to the previous two slides, because I am talking about Moody's. They have actually downgraded India's sovereign rating to BAA3. We were BAA2, now we are BAA3. So these are, as I told you, ABCD मैंने बहुत ही simplistic तरीके से आपको समझाया था. That is just the tip of the iceberg. The ratings are far more complex. So पहले BAA2 थे, अभी हम BAA3 पे पहुंच गए हैं. Also short term local currency rating का भी होता है. Local currency is of course the Indian rupee. Means sir, these all companies provide ratings to Indian loan borrowers. Yes, that's correct. जरूरी नहीं है, बट अगर आपने करवा लिया तो अच्छा है। जैसे अगर जैसे सिबिल हुआ, तो जग्गू अगर आपको कोई लोन चाहिए, मान लीजिए आपका एमबीए हो गया कहीं पे और वहां पे फी है 20 लाख 15 लाख, वट एवर यू कंफर्टेबल विद हिंदी, राइट? आई एम स्पीकिंग हिंदी, आई होप दैट्स ओके विथ यू। सो 15 लाख 20 लाख वट एवर इज द फी, you might require a loan for that. Obviously that's a massive amount. I mean, मैं होता तो मुझे चाहिए होता। So 15-20 लाख रुपए अगर लेना हो लोन, तो फिर अगर आपका रेटिंग बहुत अच्छा हो सिबिल में, then you will get much easier loan from the company. ठीक है, रेटिंग्स, रेटिंग समझ लो ना, जैसे एक स्टूडेंट को मिलता है, अगर आपको बी ग्रेड मिले मतलब यू आर अ डिसेंट स्टूडेंट, यू नीड टू फर्दर इंप्रूव। इफ यू गेट ए, यू आर वेरी गुड, ए प्लस मींस यू आर एक्सेलेंट, यू आर अ टॉपर, सी मतलब देयर इज अ लॉट ऑफ स्कोप फॉर इंप्रूवमेंट, डी मतलब यू आर ऑलमोस्ट डाउन, यू हैव पास्ड, एफ मतलब यू आर फेल्ड, राइट? सेम गोज विद दिस एज वेल। ठीक है, ज्यादा अंतर नहीं है इन दोनों में। So I'm done with this part on credit rating agencies. Do let me know if there's anything else from this topic. Otherwise, I'll move ahead. Comfortable in both English and Hindi. That's great. Perfect. Perfect. Okay, I'm done with the credit rating part. Let's move to the next thing. So there's something, a new technology has been started called the COVID beep. So it is India's first indigenous, cost-effective wireless physiological parameters monitoring system for COVID-19 patients. I think the sentence is a bit complex. Basically, क्या है ये? COVID beep से पता चलता है what are your indigenous, मतलब do you know the meaning of the word indigenous? Indigenous matlab local, locally developed in India itself. It's not foreign technology. Cost effective, you understand. Wireless, you understand. Physiological parameters matlab physical, it's not psychological, it's physiological. तो physiological मतलब body में क्या heart beat चल रहा है, what is the, how is my nervous system working. So ये अगर attach हो जाए, वो बहुत अच्छे से monitor कर देता है COVID-19 patient को, and that is what will lead to. So this technology has been titled as the COVID beep, right? Great. Moving on to the next question. So Government of India has constituted a task force led by Miss Jaya Jetli, who has been in the news lately due to a corruption scam. So Jaya Jetli used to be the leader of the Samata party, which later sort of merged into and became the JDU, Janata Dal United. So she was the head of that party. She left politics around that time. She's also considered one of the leaders in the development of the Delhi Heart, which of course is in Delhi, known as a patron for the arts. So this task force is going to examine issues related to age of motherhood, lowering maternal mortality rate. Maternal mortality is when the mother dies during childbirth. This used to be very high in India. Of course, it is reduced significantly, but yes, maternal mortality means mothers when they die during childbirth. Yeah, it has reduced now, but further needs to be done. And of course, improvement of nutritional levels. A lot of women in India suffer from anemia, often caused due to protein deficiency. So mothers, I mean, when a woman is pregnant, this is something that needs to be strongly considered. Right? I'll move ahead to the next one. If you've understood, there is a bit of time lag between me speaking and you receiving. Right? Yeah. Okay. So June current affairs bit more. This is really important news. Doom. I think you must be aware of this. But thoda sa please mark kar lena. So India's democracy is parliamentarian. So here we don't vote in the name of a person, but in the name of a party and our local representative. USA, on the other hand, is presidential. So the presidential candidate does not need to contest from any seat in particular. They are for the entire country. So you vote for. So these are the two candidates. Donald Trump, of course, is the present president. He will be going for a second term. He's from the Republican Party. Joe Biden, on the other hand, is a Democrat. The party where Hillary Clinton represented last time, and Barack Obama, who, of course, won two terms before that. Mm, the Democrat Party is typically considered left of center politically. They are liberals. On the other hand, the Trump's party, Republicans, they are considered right of center or the conservatives. Right. Okay. There's this young girl. She's only 13 years old. Her name is Netra. She's from Madurai. She has been appointed as the Goodwill Ambassador of the United Nations Association for Development and Peace, or the UNADAP. This is a program. It's not an organization. Had it been an organization, I would have mentioned to you who is the chairperson, where are the headquarters, or none of that doing here, because it's simply the name of a program or a project. Right? Okay. Now we move to one of the standalone indexes for this month. Do let me know, Jagu, if you have any doubts on the US presidential election and how it works out. You don't need to know much detail about it, but whatever little bit you can. Please stay away from Sushant Singh Rajput news. This is something which has clogged our newspapers and our TV channels, especially TV news channels. It is I'm not going against this piece of news. It is, I know, important because mental health is a really important part, and this could be a big case. However, from the CAT point of view, since you are going for CAT and all the other students as well who will be listening to this, so please do not rely on this news. This is not something of great relevance, right? There are far more important news items which are important for CAT. Okay, so I'm now going to do the first standalone index of this month. It's called the Environmental Performance Index. It's released by, Yale. It's a rival of Harvard, two of the greatest universities in the USA. Yale is based in New Haven in the state of Connecticut. So there's this Yale Center for Environmental Law and Policy. They release this every year. 2 years back, India did very badly. We were ranked 177th, which is fourth from bottom. This year we have improved, but we are still right near the bottom. We are 168th ranked, and in fact, most of our SAARC neighbors, South Asian neighbors, are actually doing better than us. The only country from our region which is doing worse than us is Afghanistan, ranked 178th. So we are 13th from bottom in this list. Rank 1 is Denmark. I told you all these indexes topped by. Yes, that's right, Jaggu. So rank 1 is Denmark. I told you all these international indexes usually topped by small developed countries like Denmark, Sweden, Finland, etc. This one, once again, Denmark ranks number 1. Denmark has a nickname, the mother-in-law of Europe. Seriously, it was called the mother-in-law of Europe because there was a long period when Denmark had princesses born, and so they would marry into different families. So all the royal families of Europe's grand mother-in-law was the Queen of Denmark. So that's why this name. In terms of air quality, we are actually second from bottom. Our neighbor Pakistan holds the bottom spot. The two of us neighbors are right at the bottom. So you can understand the kind of air quality we are receiving, all of us. Just a couple more slides here, some more miscellaneous content here. There's this international airport in Hyderabad, known as the Rajiv Gandhi International Airport. Now, this award gives awards in different categories. Sharjah, for instance, in the UAE won one of the awards. But this award, specific category which Hyderabad won it for, is between 15 and 35 million passengers per annum. So, what is the category called? It's Platinum Recognition in the Airports Council International Asia Pacific Green Airports Recognition 2020. And the category is 15 to 35 MPPA. MPPA refers to million passengers per annum. As I said, Hyderabad only won in this particular category. I think, sir, your gate little bit late. YouTube comments, please refresh it. मैं समझा नहीं कैसे रिफ्रेश करूं. अच्छा मुझे कमेंट्स लेट आ रहे हैं. That's right. That's okay. That is not because of my this thing. वो होता है थोड़ा सा lag. It's not because of my technology. It's part of the Unacademy. In fact, it's any of the places you hear live does not mean exact live. There is a 30-second lag all the time. I'll still refresh it since you have told me. मैं एक बार करके देखता हूँ. Okay, now moving on to Odisha, the eastern state of India. Odisha has adopted the patriotic song Bande Utkala Janani. It is as a state anthem. States are allowed to have their anthem, so this is one of them. There was a controversy when Karnataka developed its own flag. That is a little bit of a complex story, but anthems are all right. Now, moving on to another award known as the Richard Dawkins Award. It's named after the British evolutionary biologist, Mr. Richard Dawkins. Could be doctor, I believe. Must be doctor. That's his name. On his name, this award has been initiated. This award used to be given by the Atheist Center for USA, for America. But now it is awarded a few years later. It was transferred to the CFI or Center for Inquiry. I'll just switch off the AC for a while. It's just getting incredibly cold, so just excuse me for a while. So this award awarded by the CFI, and there is the first ever Indian to win this award. That has happened this year. His name is Mr. Javed Akhtar, husband of Shabana Azmi, one of the legendary lyricists and also a script writer. Him and Salim, that was the pair, Salim Javed. Salim Khan was the father of Salman Khan. He's, of course, the father of Farhan Akhtar, another top actor, director in Bollywood. Right. Especially for his Milkha Singh role, known, really famous for that. Right, moving on, some more miscellaneous content to come towards the end of the class. So Ministry of Road Transport and Highways, this is a ministry held by Shri Nitin Gadkari, who's also the MP from Nagpur. This ministry has mandated a strip of green color of 1 centimeter width. So this is very specific. Please have a look at this. A strip of green color of 1 centimeter width on top of the existing sticker carrying details of registration for BS6 vehicles of any fuel type. I think you might be aware. Yes, Farhanaka, that's correct, Jaggu. You might be aware that we used to have BS4 vehicles. From BS is Bharat standards. So earlier there was a separate Euro standards, there was a separate Bharat standards. Till stage 3 it was separate. Then stage 4 they were merged because there was this understanding that there's no need for having separate standards. Let's merge with the international standards. So we could have moved from BS4 to 5. That was a norm in other countries. But India got really worried about the pollution. And that is why I told you we have one of the worst air pollution, air quality. So that's why we moved straight from BS4 to BS6. Right, the higher the standard, it means it'll be more efficient an engine, and thus pollution should reduce, the air pollution. Right, Jaggu? Okay, now this is really important. There's this small town called Garsen, which is in the Chamoli district, which has been declared as a summer capital of Uttarakhand. And funny thing is, let me tell you, let me go back to the start. In the 1990s, when the campaign was really strong for a separate state of Uttarakhand, which will take away the hills from the erstwhile United Uttar Pradesh, undivided Uttar Pradesh. Even then, there was this belief among the locals that there should be the capital in Garsen. Garsen's location is also interesting. So let me put it this way. Uttarakhand has 2 major mountain ranges. The range is Himalayas. These are the sub-ranges. One is Garhwal, which has Masuri, which is more steep, less vegetation, ideal for viewing top peaks. And if you want to get really cold, that's the place. If you want to do mountaineering, the other is Kumau, which is greener. Uh, Garhwal is also home to a lot of pilgrimage sites. Kumau less so. Kumau is also home to a lot of greenery. Nainital is in Kumau. There's a bit of healthy rivalry between the two sides. So Chamoli district and especially Garsen is actually located in between the two mountain ranges or sub ranges, which is why it seemed politically the correct place to have it. Of course, later on, Dehradun was declared the capital. Dehradun is on Garhwal. It's right next to Mussoorie. Although it's at the foothills, so accessible to Kumaon as well fairly easily. Dehradun was already a fairly big city, and so Dehradun was the obvious choice for a capital when the new state was created. But there was this constant, I won't call it a protest or anything, but there were these suggestions coming in. And 2017, when the last state polls were held in Uttarakhand, this was actually a poll promise. When the present Chief Minister, Mr. Rawat, he was campaigning in the Chamoli district, this is one thing that was mentioned, that Garsen could be declared as an alternate capital. So this has now become the summer capital because during the summers, Dehradun gets a bit warmer. It's now a really crowded city, so you want to take away the excess crowd. Garsen will become a little unsustainable during winters to conduct the assembly session because it gets really cold. Dehradun is better during that time. But yes, this is basically the overall message. Do you know, Jaggu? The others can also answer. Are there any other states in India which have more than one capital? So, in fact, it becomes a fourth state in India to have dual capitals. This may be surprising. I've just written wrongly the spelling of capital. It should be CAPI. Kindly excuse me for that. Do you know any other state in India which has two capitals? I'm sure one state you will be able to mention that. I'll give you a hint. It is no longer a state, it's now a union territory. So my next slide should have been Indian states or UTs with dual capitals. I'm waiting for your answer, Jaggu. Let's see if you Jammu and Kashmir. That's correct. Absolutely correct. I did give you the hint as well. Jammu and Kashmir has two capitals, Jammu and Srinagar. Jammu during the winters because it's less cold. Srinagar becomes almost inhospitable for many people. So that's why there is this move. Himachal Pradesh, Shimla, and Dharamshala. This was an appointment in 2017, I believe, if I'm not wrong. In 2017, this was done. Not that far back, that much I'm sure. There's Maharashtra, which has a winter. Maharashtra does not have two capitals. Technically, Mumbai is the capital, but Nagpur hosts the winter session of the assembly. The government is actually deciding whether to continue with that practice or not. So, Maharashtra may in the next year or so be removed from this category. But as of now, Nagpur is hosts the winter session of the state assembly. And of course, now we have Uttarakhand, Dehradun, and Garsen. So, on that note, I am done with the first class of June current affairs. I will be having a total of 3 sessions for June current affairs. So, that's two more remaining. And now I will be doing the today's newspaper session, will be from 12:30 p.m. Today. So, do let me know if there are any questions. I will keep the session open for a while. This is my code AD09 in case anybody is enrolling uh, For this, you can use this. You'll get a 10% off. Thanks a lot, Jaggu, for the compliments. So do like, share, or subscribe. This is my code at the bottom. I'll keep it open if anyone else wants to ask any questions, any queries. I will be happy to take up your doubts. So do write in. Okay, cool. Then I think we are done with it. I'll just end the session for the day then. Thank you so much, all of you. See you all in a couple of hours for the 12:30 session. I will also be, my debut on unacademy.com is scheduled for this Monday. Next week, I will also continue with the June current affairs. I'll finish the second and third parts of the month. Then I'll also go back to March. Remember, we had missed out on March. We did January, February. Then I thought, let's do the current months earlier. So I came to May and June. And then I'll prepare content for July as well. But March and April, of course, is also pending. I'll do that as well because there are many standalone topics which are relevant for later on as well. Right? So see you all very soon. Thank you so much once again.